In the 4 a.m. chill in a Quonset hut at an airfield in north-central Afghanistan, a pre-flight gathering of air crews and medical teams. While talk of war and sacrifice may have drifted from the dinner table conversation, thousands of Americans are still engaged in the clamor and war of the 10th year of hostilities in Afghanistan. This is Bagram, the sprawling U.S. airbase in the rugged foothills of the north-central region of the country, and the clock ticks through another holiday missed by service members who are trained to fight, but committed to saving lives.
I know I'm not home with my family, but I'm together with people that have earned my undying respect, and they've become my deployed family. And it's not a perfect substitute. It isn't like being home with my family, but these people are absolutely remarkable.
You heard about CCAT, right? They're running really late. We're not going to make her take off. Their patients are pretty bad. They just loaded them in the ambulance and they're on their way.
Every second counts. I mean, when the soldier's out there, every second absolutely counts to get them back to a surgical level of care.
He should have an IVAC, a pump. He's got an IV right here.
We pull 24-hour shifts. I could tell you all my guys, they're fatigued, but it's the mission. It's knowing that the guy on the ground out there, or gal on the ground, is waiting for us, keeps us going.
As soon as you get him put back, let's get these CCAT guys loaded.
And it's tough because we can't save them all, and we haven't saved them all. And my folks have seen some horrendous stuff since they've been here, and it will be with them for the rest of their lives.
Since September the 11th, 2001, the U.S. Air Force Aeromedical Evacuation System has moved nearly 81,000 patients, including 14,000 battle-injured soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. They've been taken off battlefields in Iraq and Afghanistan and flown into the care of doctors and nurses who have redefined combat trauma medicine.
On the back of the ear, I got a hole the size of a golf ball in my arm and strapped on my leg. Other than that, I'm good.
Like entering into the gates of hell. You see nothing but blood and glass and flames shooting over you. There's a little piece on the turret that basically saved my life. And at that time, you just realize that I don't know if I'm going to survive this.
They've been ferried by aircraft to the finest and busiest military critical care facilities in the world on aeromedical evacuation missions.
The birds, the medevac plays a vital role.
Oh yeah, they definitely do. I would be dead if we didn't have the medevac birds. I mean, that's saving people like myself.
For 10 years, the gates of hell have been the deadly IED-laden battlefields of Iraq and Afghanistan. The way out starts with helicopters from the battlefield run by Air Force Pararescue Jumpers, or PJs, and Army dust-off crews.
Life-saving, fast-breaking series of events begins with an urgent 9090 call into this corner of the Bagram airfield where the rescue helicopters are based. Within 10 minutes, the crews are in the air, 2 choppers flying very quickly, usually over the mountains, to rescue an injured soldier.
The injured are quickly stabilized and then eventually evacuated in flying intensive care units in the cargo holds of C-17 and KC-135 aircraft on flights to the Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany.
We're moving 40 to 60 plus patients 2 to 3 times a week, every week. What I don't think that people understand is that influx that are coming in. I mean, it's amazing. And this is happening every day. People are getting shot every day over there.
The crews that bring back the critically injured soldiers, some on life support, many of them amputees, are citizen soldiers. 60% of all Air Force evacuation missions are run by National Guard and reserves.
It's going to go right there.
There are emergency room doctors and nurses, airline pilots, volunteers who leave their lives behind to serve their country by saving lives.
It means a tremendous amount because we actually get to take part in what in my opinion is one of the most important missions going on right now, and that's getting our wounded soldiers out of the battle zone and to a safe place where they can recover.
These crews fly from the U.S. and Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany, tracking downrange into potentially hostile airspace. Once in the battle theater, they dive steeply on classified combat landing flight paths to avoid ground-to-air missile strikes. Captain Travis Grantham is at the controls of this flight from Germany to Afghanistan on a KC-135 Stratotanker that's manned by the Arizona National Guard.
150.
Grantham crabs the plane in against a 40-knot crosswind that's howling off the Hindu Kush foothills and across the 12,500-foot Bagram runway.
Hey, you got 4 ground items. Very nice. Absolutely beautiful, Travis. Thanks, guys.
The descent is steep, the landing tricky, but deftly handled, and we're there. Waiting on the ground is a seasoned colonel who oversees the aeromedical evacuation teams that get the injured onto the flights and out of the war zone.
Do we have a look at what the potential patients are for tonight? Do we have anything on the manifest? If you look back in World War II, it may take anywhere from 2 weeks to 30 days to get a patient back home. Now we can do it within 72 hours. You know, there's a step by step that gets them back to the States and gets them to where they can be rehabilitated. It's phenomenal.
The key to survival for any badly injured person is rapid treatment. In the early 1900s, wartime transport employed any means available, and on the battlefield that meant a stretcher. During World War I, the most seriously injured were often left behind, since their chances of survival were slim to none. Once they reached an aid post, wounded soldiers might travel by ambulance or train to an evacuation hospital, or by ship back to the U.S. Slow travel and the fact that antibiotics had not yet been discovered meant a wounded soldier had a less than 30% chance of survival. The idea of removing injured soldiers by aircraft began with the 1918 Curtiss JN-4H Jenny, which was a training aircraft. It was modified to carry one patient and was soon followed by other air ambulances that could carry 2 to 4 patients on litters, a medical officer, and the plane's pilot. Patient comfort was a work in progress. Despite these early experiments, before and during much of the Second World War, almost all wounded soldiers were transported by slow and costly hospital ship or train.
Ambulances transfer the wounded to hospital trains. Nurses of the Army Medical Corps traveling right with the men to provide every possible comfort during the first stage of the long journey home. At base hospitals, they rest and are prepared for the voyage back to America.
With the global scale of World War II, the military began evacuating wounded soldiers in cargo planes that were returning from the battlefield empty. By the end of World War II, in 1945, more than 1 million wounded soldiers had been evacuated by plane. The Korean War came next.
I was in Korea itself for 14 months, flying the wounded from Korea to Japan. Put them on board the cargo planes and flew to various hospitals in Japan. That got them their wounds tended to a lot quicker than they would have 50 years ago in an old ambulance. I wanted to help. My mother says, fine, go. She was behind me. I said, I'd like to go into the nurse corps. And went through that course in Alabama, and then I was sent overseas to fly the wounded from Korea to Japan, and for the wounded, I go back and do it all over again. As crippled up as I am, for any country, I would go and get on a plane and bring the wounded out if I could. I still have that same feeling.